All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Mike with FormAWin here to help you guys get your first engineering job. Today, we have Arnold. He's been working at Boeing for such a long time. He's a credible, awesome source of engineering knowledge, helping so many students. He's won numerous awards. He's worked at several different companies. He has an awesome resume. He can help anyone out. Let's get into this. Thank you, Arnold, for joining us.
I love it. I love the energy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Just trying to keep it up, just trying to make sure students and all engineers kind of rise a little bit. If I can be super psychotic with energy and they get a little bit of a 1%, then hopefully that can help them bring that in their job and then they can apply that, then grow. But yeah, man,
They're
it's
all
so great
tired.
to
They're all
have you
tired.
here.
I'll tell you that. They're all very tired. So yeah,
Yeah,
we
for
all
sure.
appreciate the extra burst of energy.
Yeah, no, we all need it. So just like you, all of your postings, everything that you've done on LinkedIn, everything you do for students, I know helps so many people. It's helped me. Especially for me being relatively early in my career, I've seen you grow throughout, and that's inspired me. That's helped me. I've reached out for advice a while back, and you helped me out. So, it's great to have you here, and I know you have so much advice to give students. Why don't you give us a little bit of a background?
Yeah. So I guess background wise, I guess I always like to start from the beginning, right? So like first generation when I was in college, first generation, low income, minority, Hispanic, being in Indiana, started out as a community college student, then went into one of Purdue's sister schools called IUPUI, which actually doesn't exist anymore. So I went to a school that doesn't exist. So that's crazy, but that no, it does exist. They split it up, and now it's like Purdue University, Indianapolis. Then did my graduate school, did masters in at Purdue. So really like no, I when I moved, so born in Miami, but then grew up in Honduras in Central America, and then moved back. When I moved back, I didn't have a network. Like I didn't know one single person that was a professional. Yeah, I don't even like a professional, not even like an engineer. Like I didn't know a professional. So everything for me was like labor jobs. So I was really wanted to get into like, hey, all that those amazing opportunities that I saw other people do, right? So went to community college, did good, got kind of full ride scholarships. Got like $60,000 in scholarships throughout like the years I was there, and just did really well in school. Won a couple awards for being like a student leader. Got to do amazing things. Like I went to NASA as an aerospace scholar, did the NCAS thing, did a lot of really cool things. Started interning at Northrop Grumman. So I was a design engineer at Northrop. Under my undergrad. Actually, that's yeah, I'm jumping way. I basically went to school full time and worked full part time at least all through after freshman year. I think freshman year was the only one I didn't do that. But
A
after that,
lot.
I was a project engineer at Aerodyne, small aerospace company. Then after that, I was a design engineer at Northrop Grumman. So I was full time in the summers, during the school, and then during the school year, I was part time. When I was doing grad school, I worked at Praxair. They do coding. They used to call it Praxair, now they're called Lindy. I'm starting to get old, man. I'm like, oh, the company's changed. I'm just like, man, like all the students now are graduated. It's like, what's going on? Where did
It's
that?
wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I worked at Praxair as an equipment and tooling engineer, and then ended up landing my dream job, which was a rotation program at Boeing. So kind of been at Boeing for the last six and a half years now. Time flies, by the way. I always like, man, 6 years already. And then at Boeing, started out right, kind of level two, that early career engineer straight from grad school. Did really well the first couple of years. Got a early opportunity to become a lead engineer, did that. Actually, I was a deputy lead, did really good at that. Then they kind of gave you a lead engineer role, did really good at that. Then you kind of got that manager role. So now I'm a manager on the KC-46, this airplane actually. So I'm a
Oh,
manager on the K.
awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
You can see here, there's like the refueling. These are called the refueling pods. So it has like little hose and drogues that like an airplane can come up to. And then it has the big boom right here where it actually refuels, like does all the high rate refueling. Don't ask me where the tail is. My daughter ripped it off. Goes to one of the representations, like, hey, where's the tail? And I was like, oh man, everybody knows this. But yeah, basically, daughter ripped it off. So I'm the safety manager for that airplane. And yeah, I'm just here to help. I also do a lot of LinkedIn stuff. So just sharing advice for students and early career professionals so they can get promoted, exceed expectations, and become layoff proof is the new big thing too. So
That's right. Yeah, man. Yeah. So again, thank you for all you do. Like, what's your day to day like? So now you're working as a lead engineer in safety, right?
I'm a
So
manager in tech now.
you're man. Okay, right. So all right. So then what? So like, what's your day to day like there?
Yeah, no, being a manager at the end of the day, every day is the same and every day is different. Every day is just come in, go catch up on all the emails you haven't read already, and then go prioritize which problem you're gonna go solve, which team member needs the most help at that time. If there's anyone that's getting behind schedule, hey, let's go help them out. So let's either let who in the team is free to help that person out, or just figure things out. And then every now and then you'll get a pop-up emergency. So it's just kind of like balancing all the high priority items and making sure that the team is successful. Then trying to always throw in there, right? The hey, let's make sure it's a good team environment. Everybody feels welcomed. Everybody feels able to speak up. So it's always that every day is the same thing, but every day is different. So all those problems are usually different. All those situations, and then hopefully I make some progress on my task that I have on my to do list
Yeah,
from
yeah,
all
no, I
the
mean, I
pop-ups.
can definitely, yeah, no, I can definitely relate to that, and I'm just starting out, so I can't even imagine the
Oh,
workload you have. So, yeah, man. So you kind of talked a little bit about your journey throughout as an early career and in college, and it sounds like you went through a lot of different types of struggles, but what was like one of the biggest ones that you had to overcome
as a student or
as a student?
yeah, oh, that's a great question. As a student, I think the hardest one is getting your first internship. I think that's going to be the hardest thing for most students. Um, and yeah, it was getting my first internship because after that, it was like, it gets up to a point when you start getting all those big company names in your internships and you start getting a lot of those projects and things like that, then it becomes really easy like to get into companies. Like all of them want to interview you. And it sounds cocky,
Yep,
but it's true. It's like all of them want to interview you as soon as you start getting like those big names on there and you start getting that really good experience. But getting that first one, basically trying to learn the stuff that I know now that I help share with students and early career professionals, learning that type of stuff, the importance of networking, the importance of, hey, I can have a 4.0 GPA, but if I don't have any projects or any leadership or any communication type stuff
yep.
in my resume, no one cares. So I think that was the big thing, realizing that not everything was going to be a grade, and then trying to get my first internship. I got my first internship. I feel like I'm really I'm officially old because when I started doing the whole internship hunt, like I don't know if it wasn't that it wasn't a thing or I just didn't know about it, but LinkedIn really, for me, at least as a student, it wasn't a thing, or maybe I just didn't know about it. It probably was a thing. Yeah, it was like 10 years ago. Damn. Yeah, it was like 10 years ago. So I don't know if 10 years ago LinkedIn was a thing, but I know for sure that wasn't a thing for me. So I cold emailed all the aerospace companies that were local to me. And then I just started
Nice.
following up. I started going literally knocking doors and trying to get an internship until one of those companies said, "Hey, yeah, come interview." And then I interviewed with them and then I was like weeks later I didn't hear anything. So I said kept on following up until one of them was like, hey, how does $12 an hour sound? I'm like, that sounds better than what I make now, so let's go. So that's kind of how I think that was the biggest struggle. And then the persistence, right, of all those rejections, all of those
hmm
people not giving me opportunities. I think that was the biggest struggle to just stay in there and realize that hey, I had a goals and I had to get there one way or the other, but I was going to get there.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm so glad you had all that fun experience and had to go through that. And I mean, that's such a big struggle. Like what you were talking about with networking and really just building that up and not focusing on one thing or the other. I mean, you need to be well-rounded, just like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
and you attack that at all angles. And then you were aggressive with it. I love that you cold called and like went to go knock doors and just really got your foot in the door because that's what I try to have students do. Because I mean, you probably learned so much on the job as it was while you were doing that to just like network, learn how to speak, learn how to sell yourself, learn how to do all that stuff. And I mean, you're going to learn faster by doing it that way than just
Yeah.
thinking about doing it. So, do you think that's one of the major struggles students kind of face is just putting themselves out there with the social aspect of it, as opposed to just kind of cramming and studying and worrying about that and not worrying about the other spectrum of engineering that they should?
Yeah, no, I do think that's one of the biggest issues. For students, they're like, hey, it's my senior year, Arnold. I haven't had an internship. I'm about to graduate, and it's kind of like, well, it's hard to get them jobs, but at the end of the day, we end up getting it. We find ways to do things right. But it's hey, those kids that are gonna get those multiple offers from all those companies, the ones it's because they put in their what they learn in the classroom, they put into real world applications. They're part of those group competitions. They're the ones that did group projects. And I'm very specific with saying group. People are always telling like, oh, if I do this solo project, if I do this extra certificate, and it's no, you need to apply what you're doing in school into real world stuff in a group setting because you're not gonna go work by yourself,
Yep.
especially as an undergrad. people are like, oh, I'm gonna learn this other software or something. It's like, yeah, sure. Then you'll come learn ours. That isn't like it's similar, but it's different. So I think that is usually one of the biggest things, and then just overcoming that fear of reaching out, right? Girl Scout cookies, girls. Those are the ones that I tell everybody. You need to be like those Girl Scout cookies. You need
Yep.
the little girl selling. I'm gonna get my daughter into that just because they need to learn that mindset of, hi, the pleasure to meet you. Can you buy
Yeah.
some cookies? Yes, perfect. No, okay, whatever. Next person. So it's kind of getting that mindset, and that's the hardest part because people are really scared of rejections. I got rejected so many times now from jobs, from internships, from scholarships, everything that nothing affects me. Like LinkedIn connections,
Yep.
I have a bunch now, like 25,000 or something crazy like that. But like I remember like reaching out to the first couple LinkedIn people and then not connecting with me or not accepting and me feeling like, oh. But yeah, at the end of the day, like I'm so used to rejection now, I don't even care about it. I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing to figure out.
Yeah, man. I mean, you went through it. You went through the struggle. You made it happen, and now you are on the other side. I mean, such a great and high level. And in terms of students, and I mean, I definitely went through this. You went through it in terms of dealing with stress. What are some kind of tactics or strategies that you apply to deal with stress and maybe how to overcome it or just get through it? Do you think that maybe you just going through all those stressful situations, right? Then you just got the practice, you got the discipline, and then now you just know that you can deal with it? Or were there specific things that you did to kind of reduce the impact it had on you?
Yeah. No, when it comes to stress, I won't lie to you. I'm probably not the best to handle that type of stuff just because I'm that person that, okay, I achieve one thing and then I'm already thinking of the next thing to achieve. And like that just constantly kind of want to stress myself out. It's the weirdest thing ever. I'm trying to kind of like be more present and focus on, hey, everything that I have instead of everything I don't. But I am that mindset of, hey, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? So I stress myself out just for no reason sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm such a failure. Like I haven't done anything with my life. Oh, it is the weirdest thing ever. But I do think the ways that I kind of overcame some of my stress has been I always only do stuff that I know I'm gonna enjoy. And I only focus on things that I know I'm gonna like, and that are gonna be I'm gonna feel passionate about it. Because if I don't feel passionate about it, then that stress is gonna become negative. And right now, my stress is usually kind of like motivation, like, hey, I really want to go be good at this. I'm doing bad, but I'm gonna get there. So I think for me, it's more of how to overcome some of that stress, which I don't think is great. There's probably much better techniques out there, but for me, it's always been trying to do things that I really enjoy and so I can really push myself and want to be really good at those things. So yeah, I
Yeah,
don't do.
yeah. And I mean, I think it's a good problem to worry about, among the high achievers. I mean, it seems to be a trend, right? So I mean, I mean, both of us just stressing ourselves out, but I mean, we'll be okay. We got a good team around us. We have a good, fun, positive environment, and then exactly, we like what we do. We have fun with what we do, which I think a lot of students need to connect the dots and like quit trying to just just get super stressed and crunched out about it. Like just have fun. Like I mean, we're doing this for a reason to have fun with our lives. So then, I
Yeah,
mean, just reminding
it's
yourself about that.
complicated, right? Because a lot of students have mental health issues, anxiety, depression, all these things that I can't relate to. Hey, maybe I have some undiagnosed ADHD. I kind of figured out the other day when I saw like diagnosis, and I was like, maybe I have some of that, but
Yep.
nothing like official, right? I'm Hispanic, so in my family, like mental health is not a topic. So I do know there's people out there that struggle a lot more on things like that. So at the end of the day, is finding what works for you, finding that getting help. I think that's the biggest thing actually is like just getting help because anytime I'm stressed out where like I don't know how to do something, I will go find help. Either through therapy or through coaching or through mentoring. Like you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, is asking people for help. And I think I do that a lot when I am in stressful situations.
100%. I mean, if you need help, yeah, I mean, I've had so many mentors and coaches as well, and I mean, it's just so critical. I mean, you need someone to lean on. But let's transition into kind of your goals. So your goals for the future. Where do you want to wind up? Where do you see yourself going?
Man, I am in a really weird whatever that word is, in
Yep.
my life. Yeah, crossroads. There we go. In my life where I'm really trying to figure out what's gonna make me happy at the end of the day. So initially, like if you would have asked me, I don't know, 2, 3 years ago when I was a lead engineer, I would have been like, hey, my goal next year is I want to become a senior manager now because I'm kind of doing that trajectory. And then, hey, I want to become a director. I'm going to become an executive. I always had that mindset of I want to keep growing and growing. But right now, especially because we're about to have our second kid, I'm starting to figure out kind of like, hey, one teacher told me this, and I really took it to heart. They said, "Hey Arnold, you're gonna get a job after college, and it's gonna financially, you're gonna feel like it's amazing. But after because I was a broke college student, but he's like, but after 3 4 months, you're just gonna feel that the money is normal and that that's your life. So you want to make sure you do stuff that you like. That idea was amazing. Now I'm very blessed where what I do, I enjoy my job. Don't get me wrong, it's still a job. You still have to pay me to go to work. But I actually like my job. I don't hate Mondays. I'm not looking forward to Monday, but I don't hate it. I like my job. And then money wise, in the 6 years that I joined Boeing, I think I've doubled my income from all those promotions. I've doubled my income. And honestly, I don't feel much happier when it comes to money. I got into a point in my life where I'm not rich, I'm not poor. I just make enough money to live comfortable and for me to not miss anything that's essential. So I have a car. We're trying to buy a house in the near future. That's I guess money goals. That would be my next one. But like I drive a nice car. I have nice things. And like the only thing that I've seen with those 6 years and like money doubling is I just have nicer of those things. I just have a nicer car now. I just have nicer. So I've thought about it, right? It's like, hey, that 5 year, this is a really long answer. What is my goals?
No, no, it's good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I thought about it like, hey, do I really want to keep pushing myself in 5 years to kind of keep that trajectory of where I'm at? And it's like, for what cost? It's like, okay, the amount of money that I'm gonna make, it's just gonna have me buy a nicer car. I really like my car now. So like buying just a nicer car. So I always felt like trying to figure out that work-life balance and figuring out what makes me happy. I've realized that what makes me happy is helping other people. That's probably the number one thing. Just hearing from people that I've never met, like Michael, for example, when he reached out and he's like, hey, let's do this. Hearing from people that I've never talked to before and telling them, hey, you helped me 4 years ago. That's the type of stuff that really fulfills me and makes me really happy. So I think in 5 years from now, I want to one make sure that my family is stable, that we have like as a family, we're really happy. Um, 5 years from now, I probably want to be a senior manager at that point. I'm hoping that I figured out right now I don't want that. Even if they wanted to promote me, I would really push back on it right now because I want to figure out my family situation
Hmm.
to make sure everything's really covered and figure out kind of my happiness situation. So I'm hoping in 5 years goals is I'm doing a lot more like I used to on LinkedIn, social media, helping more. I want to make sure I found that balance between life, work, and helping others. So I guess that's my goal.
That's all. I mean, you have the full picture, and I love it. And I mean, especially with kids, man. I mean, I can tell you're a great dad. So I mean, I respect all that you're doing with that. And I don't have kids yet, so I mean, when I have kids, I'm gonna be stressing out about that too. And I mean, you're handling it super well by still doing all your stuff. I mean, you have a panel after this too. You're a great dad. You take care of them. You're working super hard. I mean, I think you're on the right track. No matter what you do, like whatever step you're gonna take is gonna like be perfect because you're just you, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
do
got
want to
this.
and you're hitting it right on. And I do want to give a shout out to my wife because it's not just me, right? Because
Yep.
honestly, if it was just me, I would that be that person that's working 60 hours trying to make everything grow. She really tells me like she'll push me. Like I am a very present dad. I'm in my daughter's parent teacher conferences. I'm at her field trips. I go to all the important things. I never miss them. But I know a lot of that has to do with my wife always making sure that I'm a very present dad. So I think that's the other huge thing, right? Is I have a strong support network that makes me better. There's some things that I wish I was doing more of, and then some things that I wish I was doing less. But I kind of help that usually helps me kind of focus on what's important.
I would be lost without my fiance, and we're actually getting married soon. So I mean, I'll be
Oh,
married as
congratulations.
well
That's
soon.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, the support system is I mean, is everything. And sometimes we overlook it. I mean, I definitely, I guess, overlook it sometimes or don't consider it. But I mean, without her, I don't even know what I'd be doing. I mean, she makes my food, so I
Yeah.
mean, it's a huge help. Let's transition into the next new fun topic. So, how important is fitness in your life?
You know,
What's fitness to you or health?
yeah, that's I always talk about fitness as one of those things that when I was a college student, people ask me like, hey, I guess actually, I kind of remember this question I get asked pretty often. Is like, hey, what would you change if you were a college student again? What are some of your regrets? I think fitness is one of those. I kind of wish I would have focused more on my fitness to be more of a standard thing throughout my life, like always making sure that fitness is part of my life. I think that's, again, right, you can't have everything in life. So I think that's one of the things that took a toll when I was in college. Just gained a lot of weight during like the freshman 15, and that I wish I would have done more. I know the importance of it. Like it's always like, hey, yeah, it's better for long term, long term. But even now, like having a 5-year-old, I'm starting to see like, hey, I want to make sure that I'm fit so I can go play with her. Yesterday we were at the trampoline park, so I was like, hey, I want to make sure that I can go do all of these things for a really long time. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, fitness wise, is making sure I can do fun things and like fitness never gets in my ways because hey, I already hit my 30s. As soon as you hit your 30s, your back starts hurting, your knees start
Yeah.
hurting. So I was like, man, I really want to make sure like now I make sure that's really important in my life.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
one of
mean,
the things
I'm
I
doing my back hurts now and I'm 24, so
yeah,
I don't know, man.
exactly.
No, I don't know. No,
Yeah,
but I
as soon
mean
as you
that,
hit 30, man, everything hurts a little bit more. And I think it's a mental
yeah,
thing. The day I turned 30, I was like, man, everything hurts.
I don't know. I'm gonna get like a full body ice pack and just walk out with that. I'll be all right.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like it definitely affected me during my freshman and sophomore year too. I mean, like I struggled with it probably a lot more than you did. And I mean, that's why like I talk about it a lot because I think students like if they focus on it, it'll kind of help out. Because I mean, I was just stressed out, going crazy. I almost failed. I mean, it was hard because of that because that impacted me just because I was worried so much about it. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think students should focus on it. Just I mean, like it's a forever progressing thing. We're never going to be perfect. So yeah, man, I'm glad to have your thoughts and insights on that. Now I want to get a little bit tactical with some engineering student stuff. So what's something you think is overlooked with students and what they do on a day-to-day basis, maybe just throughout their time throughout college? Just like what's something that's overlooked further than what we talked about? So now I kind of want to dig a little bit deep. So maybe in their interactions, their week to week, their semesters, what's something overlooked?
Yeah, I think, and and everybody says it right, but I think it's networking at the end of the day. Is students need to make sure that they over like networking is always like the oh yeah I gotta go network, but people don't really put in the time to go build relationships with people, making sure you're going like as a student. I remember I would always be like, oh man, I'm so tired. Do I really have to go to that student organization event? And it's like I probably don't. It's not mandatory. I don't have to go, and a lot of students don't. But I always push myself to go to those things, and I just got so many opportunities because of it. I would always come back with I met someone that I thought was amazing, or an opportunity. So now I really push myself to make sure you go to that happy hour, go to that networking event. So I really think networking is the big one, and then kind of making sure that you have because everybody has a brand, right? Everybody has a brand. So making sure that networking is like you're adding those people on LinkedIn and just like continue to have that relationship because you want to be able because you never know, man. Like again, I started college when like 10 years ago, I think, when I started college. And I'm starting to see a lot of my classmates. They're doing amazing things at amazing companies. And like they're some of them are like out past me and some of them are behind. I can help them and the ones that are past me can help me. So I think it's like building those relationships and making sure you have those relationships. Like you have them in LinkedIn or something. Because when I moved from Indiana to Seattle, all my network basically exploded like
Yeah,
nothing. I was like, where's my network? So I didn't
yeah.
have that. So having LinkedIn now is really making sure you keep that network. So yeah, go network, go to all those events. You will at least you'll get free food for most of them. So
Yeah, we'll take that for sure. I love it. All right, so now, all right, if you take, all right, so we have this person, they want to find a job super easy, super quick, right off the bat. What's the first thing you're going to tell them? They want to find a job in a month.
yeah, first thing every single time I do with everyone, I tell them go read my articles. First thing,
Facts.
so I don't have to repeat myself. I've said this hundreds of times. Please don't
That's
make me
right.
repeat the same basics. But aside from that, the actual tactical thing that someone can go do is go target. Don't try to apply to every engineering job. You need to start focusing on what type of jobs you want to target. That really what threw me from applying to hundreds of jobs and getting no offers to applying to 2, 3 jobs and getting 2, 3 offers was making sure that I kind of found that target of what specifically I wanted to do. And then making my resume, making my LinkedIn, making my elevator pitch all targeted towards that and realizing, hey, what are the things I don't because people all the time answer in generics and answer in everything, right? In the resume, interview questions, everything. And then at the end of the day, you want to answer as in how do I fit in that role? Like, how can I make sure that my answers are always tied toward what they're looking for? And I think that kind of targeting, learning how to target answers and target your resume and make everything targeted, I think that's the biggest thing. So the first thing I tell everybody is like, hey, go make a list of the 10 companies you want to go work at. So you need to figure that out. You need to figure out the industry you want to work at. You want to figure out what type of roles you want to do. And things can change in the future. You might want to do a different type of role. You might want to do a different industry. But to get this job now, you need to target something so you can make your resume based off of that. So I think that's the number one thing that I would
Yeah.
recommend.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds super efficient as opposed to like doing 100 things like you were saying and then trying to customize resumes for all those and go and do all this where no, like you're more focused. It's gonna be a better quality. So, yeah, yeah, thank you for that advice. I hope everyone watching is gonna take that and apply it for sure. All
Yep.
right, now, what is one hobby you have outside of work that you enjoy? One fun hobby,
Yeah.
or
So
what's something? It
yeah,
could
I
be
guess
talking to
on
me.
yeah, no, it really is. At the end of the day, it's my life revolves around a couple things. Work, family, number one, family for always. Work, and then in the last, I think that's one of the reasons also I've reduced the amount of LinkedIn stuff that I do is I just go to church much more now. I guess it's that whole pursuit of trying to fulfill and be happy, right? Maybe that's part of it. I go to church, so I end up being at church a lot. So I go like to Tuesdays, I
I
go to
love
like
it.
marriage group, and Thursdays I go to a different type of marriage group. Sundays we go to church, and any event we usually go to that. A lot of my friends are there, so it's kind of cool. I found like a really good church that I'm a really good fit with. So it's between family, work, church, and I think the other one is just doing LinkedIn stuff, and like doing things like this. This is really my hobby. I feel happy after this. I feel energized after these conversations. So I think those are the other things. And then I guess the only one that you usually throw in there is cars. I do really like. I got into engineering because I like cars. So I just recently bought a new Mustang. So I was like,
I
I'm
saw
right
that. I
now.
saw that. It's sick. I love it.
So right now, yeah. So right now with my sister, we're going to like car meets and we're going to all these different things. They have
That's
like a
awesome.
drift an event that we wanted to go to, but it interjects with one of my daughter's birthday parties. My daughter goes to like a birthday party every week almost. She goes to
Yep.
like two birthday parties a month. It's ridiculous. So I can't go to that open drift thing. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that's like aside from anything that we do is just honestly with my sister, we just go drive. Let's go get tacos at a taco stand. Let's just go drive 20 minutes. Let's go to a car meet. That's usually the stuff that I'll do for fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one of the goals in the future is gonna be a NASCAR racer. I don't know, man. You're looking a little. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, there's too
Uh,
much in that, but yeah.
all right, I got one last thing for you, then we'll conclude, and then we'll definitely have another episode at some point in the future for sure. But what is one last piece of advice you have for your younger self, maybe in college, struggling, anything? What's one piece of advice you have for your younger self?
Ooh, that's a good question. I really hit on the fitness one. I think that one is a huge
Hmm.
one. Is like, hey, make it part of your life habits. That's a big one. The networking one talked about that. You know what? I think the one that I haven't talked about is stop focusing on your GPA. I would do that one. I was so focused. I'm very proud of my GPA now. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of the having a high GPA, but if I could go back, I would have taken zero point 0.2 out of my GPA, and the amount of work that it goes from like a 3.5 to a 3.7, for example, is so much more that I would have like tried to reduce all that. Just like 3.0 is good, 3.5 is great. No one needs a 3.9 GPA. I would have focused less on that and focused more on doing student competitions and getting more involved. I think I did great things as a student. I was a vice president for organizations, for two organizations at the same time. So I was really busy as a student. I was a student ambassador. So I did all those cool things, but I feel like I could have done more. I could have done kind of more like a regional thing. I could have done more of a leadership more nationally. I would have done that over focusing so much on my grades. But at that time, I didn't know that grades were they're important, but as soon as you hit that 3.0, 3.5, no one really cares.
Arnold, you gave some amazing information today. It's been great to get to know you too. I really do feel like I get to know you, and I mean, I love your personality online and LinkedIn, but like you're so much like warm and like awesome and just as awesome as on LinkedIn as you are on here. And I mean, I can't wait to meet you in person too. Imagine that. I mean, that's
Yeah,
gonna be an awesome hug. Yeah, no, I'm gonna try to come to the next chef convention. I couldn't come to this one, and I mean, at the next one, we're gonna definitely have to meet up. So,
for sure.
Arnold, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for everything. Have a blessed night. Bless your family, everything. And for everyone watching, take some piece of advice from this, apply it in your life. Go get your first job, first internship, or if you already have something, be better in it, set the standard, and go live your best life. Arnold, thank you. Everyone else, see you later.